And on the second one, everyone involved in the process, it gives purpose to everything that everybody does. If you have someone reviewing negative news, that'll feed into the relationship memo. If you have someone involved, uh, handling the AML questionnaires, that'll feed into the thing. If you have screening, uh, everything needs to ultimately have a sense of purpose. And what the relationship summary does is it helps provide a framework that gives that purpose and then makes it actionable for the decision maker. Uh, it's absolutely key for ongoing underwriting. I mean, you can't just have a know it when you see it. And the idea is you want to summarize the material facts. You don't want boilerplate and you don't want data dump. Those are the
Mm.
two actual fatal flaws of a bad relationship summary. If it's a boilerplate one, oh, this is a good customer and we've had no problems with them or whatever, and they all just say that, well, you're not differentiating anything. You're not really understanding the customer base and that sort of thing. On the other hand, what I would see, and this is what we were trying to get away from with the earlier version, is we were seeing a lot of data dumps. We would just take a lot of data and maybe they'd use an Excel concatenation formula or whatever to do it. And no one was really analyzing it until it got to the
Right.
decision maker. And then I would have to be, kind of doing handwritten notes and doing calculations and stuff, so that I could do it. And I said, no, I need this happening upstream.
Mm.
And not just because I was lazy, but because I was really afraid that the people upstream weren't really thinking through the issues. So I wanted to give them an analytic framework that they went through before they presented it to myself. Or, as the memos that I was approving were also approved by the head of the FI group and the head of international. So very much I wanted to make sure that the people upstream of those decision makers were doing the analytics. And we had to focus on materiality, which
Right.
is stuff that's important for a decision.
Mhm. Absolutely great points, Tom. Especially, I mean, relationship summary should include so many information, so many types of information. I think it's very important um, that you develop, that the writer, if that's a relationship manager or a risk manager, should develop the skills. Because I remember, in the beginning, it was a struggle, to highlight exactly the relevant or the more relevant points for the reader. That's one side of it. And also for the readers who all are reading the relationship summary should also learn how to read it, because I think that I mean, first of all, you have to be like a fast reader, because there are so many relationship summaries that you have to read. But then when you read, I think there are certain areas that you need to prioritize, and there's a skill, I think, that's very important to develop on both the
Yeah, no,
sides.
I agree. And one of the things that we worked on a lot was, to keep the audience in mind. And so we wanted a framework that was organized and predictable and had a sense of purpose, but we also wanted it scannable. So we spent a lot of time, saying this is what the format should be, so that a decision maker didn't have to hunt out the information, that it was in a predictable place and they could absorb it uh, by scanning, and also that you have the right level of detail. Like I said, not boilerplate, not data dump. The other benefit you got was, you had it all in a single place, so that when you were doing uh, the review, you weren't having to go to other documents or whatever and reconstruct what you had. You had forced everybody to, have a single source that they were all looking at, to say, what do we really know about this customer that is material? And everyone was literally working off the same page. And it is important to have, a predictable and consistent presentation as, I guess everyone knows if you have a customer that's got a particular difficult issue, sometimes there's a temptation to kind of draft around that issue by using passive voice or, maybe not dealing with the topic. If you have a consistent and predictable way of doing it in the memo, like, well, corruption is an issue in this country, tell me, what sort of negative news has come out about corruption with their customer base,
Mm-hmm.
and also, how are they dealing with that? You don't give anyone a place to hide. You have to deal with those issues. And at the end of the day, while it might be easier in any particular year or whatever to kind of, maybe gloss over some issues, it doesn't do anyone any good, because it'll catch up with you. Maybe not this
Exactly.
year, but next year or whatever. So one of the things we did in the organization here, and you'll see this, is we force people to deal with the issue in an objective way, and explicitly deal with it. And it had to be decision centric. It had to be written for the decision maker. And the last thing we wanted was a bunch of noise.
Sure. Absolutely. Great point. Thanks.